Like we say, you cannot understand what happens in Israel without understanding what happens all around us in the Middle East. So here's a roundup of everything that happened in the Middle East this week. The Houthis from Yemen are giving everyone a headache. The Iranians are stuck without fuel. Jordan launched an attack on Iran. Saudi Arabia is angry with the Palestinians. There's no peace in our neighborhood this week. Welcome to the Middle East, our neighborhood. That's how I like to call it. So who are our neighbors? Who lives in this neighborhood? We have Israel, of course, Turkey, Iran, Iraq, Syria, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Cyprus, Egypt, Lebanon, Bahrain, Qatar, the United Arab Emirates, hold on, there's more, Oman, Yemen. These are all the countries we deal with in this show. So let's start. What happened this week in our neighborhood? This week, about 70% of the gas stations in Iran suffer from disruptions as a result of cyber attacks. Widespread disruptions were recorded this week at gas stations in Tehran and elsewhere in Iran. Iranian state television reported that the gas stations are trying to supply fuel manually and that it will take several hours to solve the problem. At the same time, the spokesman for the gas station organization in Iran told the Fars news agency that a hardware problem in the fuel system has been confirmed throughout the country, and experts are trying to fix the problem and called on drivers not to go to the gas stations. The Sparrow of Prey hacker group, which previously claimed responsibility for cyber attacks in Iran, claimed it was responsible for it. The cyber attack was carried out in a controlled manner. This is a response to the aggression of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Added the group, which was targeting the attacks of the Shiite organizations throughout the Middle East since the outbreak of the war between Israel and Hamas on October 7th. Israel refused to comment. At the same time, Jordan is intensifying its war on drug traffickers from Syria and thwarted a large-scale smuggling operation. In response to this smuggling attempt, the Jordanian Air Force unusually attacked the targets across the border, hitting hideouts of smugglers believed to be supported by Iran and Hezbollah. Since the outbreak of the war in 2011, Bashar's regime has become a kind of drug cartel, distributing captagen pills, a type of amphetamine, all over the region, to Jordan and from there to the Gulf countries. This drug is common among terrorist organizations around the world, and Hamas terrorists used it during the massacre they carried out in the south of Israel on October 7th. Intelligence sources told the Reuters news agency that the Jordanian strikes hit the homes of senior drug smugglers and farms that served as hiding places for the well-armed drug dealers. According to the Jordanian army, yesterday's smuggling attempt was one of the largest in recent years, and it included dozens of infiltrators linked to pro-Iranian militias, who crossed the border armed with rocket launchers, mines, and explosives. The Jordanian army blew up a vehicle loaded with explosives during the operation, which reportedly lasted 10 hours. The Jordanian army captured 5 million captagen pills yesterday. Since the beginning of this month, Jordanian and Western sources say that Hezbollah and the militias that control most of southern Syria are behind the surge in drug and weapon smuggling. Jordan knows the country behind it. Iran is the one sponsoring these militias. These are hostile military operations against Jordan on its own territory. And of course, Iran and the Hezbollah claim that the accusations are part of Western plots against them. This week, Saudi Arabia's criticism of Hamas continues in full force. In the all-Arab newspaper published in London, it is written that Saudi Arabia's silence regarding explicit criticism of Hamas and its responsibility for escalation in line with the trend of Arab and Islamic sympathy for the Strip, but in fact hides the true position towards Hamas. Hamas caused direct damage to the kingdom. In fact, Hamas undermines the great efforts made by Saudi Arabia for peace and stability in the region and created a new environment for religious extremism, the roots of which Saudi Arabia tried to uproot. Today it is already clear that Saudi Arabia will play a central role after the war in the process of searching for a sustainable solution to the Palestinian issue, especially since the kingdom is the leader of the Arab Initiative, presenting a realistic proposal that includes recognition of Israel in exchange for allowing the Palestinians to gain independence. Also this week, the IDF announced that a new Sa'al 6 missile ship was sent to the Red Sea, which has become a dangerous route for sailing since the Houthis, supported by Iran, intervened in the war against Hamas that broke out on October 7th. The actions we have seen by the Houthi forces destabilizing, they are dangerous, said the Pentagon spokesperson. Major General Patrick Ryder said, "This is an international problem that requires an international solution." Israel believes that a stronger response is needed against the Houthis, who control northern Yemen. However, Washington wants to avoid regional escalation beyond the current one, in the framework of which its forces in Iraq and Syria have been attacked by the pro-Iranian Shiite militias nearly 100 times. The Houthis, who throughout the war launched missiles and drones at Israel, continue to threaten ships that want to pass near the coast of Yemen. This week, the Houthis hit the Strinda tanker, about 111 kilometers north of Bab el-Mandab Strait, which connects the Gulf of Eden and the Red Sea. The Houthis claimed that it was on its way to deliver oil to ports in Israel and did not listen to their warnings. But the company's owners denied and said that the ship was sailing from Malaysia to Italy with a load of biofuels. Following the missile's impact, a fire broke out in the Norwegian tanker, but there were no casualties among its 22 crew members. The US military said that the battleship Mason, which intercepted several attacks by the Houthis in recent weeks, was not in the area where the incident occurred, but arrived there and provided help to Strinda. The French military said a French ship in the area intercepted a UAV launched at Strinda. So how do the Houthis get information on how to attack? Well, you guessed right. This week, an Iranian Revolutionary Guard ship was discovered providing the Houthi rebels in Yemen with real-time information on ship movements in the Red Sea. This is what officials said, Western and regional security for the Wall Street Journal. According to the sources, using this information, the Houthis managed to launch missiles and drones at vessels passing through the Bab el-Mandab Strait, which connected the Indian Ocean to the Red Sea. The ships passing through the Bab el-Mandab Strait turned off their communication systems to avoid surveillance. But according to the report, the Iranian spy ship in the Red Sea allows the Houthi drones and missiles to precisely target their attacks. The direct Iranian involvement in these attacks increases the fear of the expansion of the war, which the United States is trying to prevent. American officials told the Wall Street Journal that Washington told Israel to wait for an American military response against the Houthis instead of acting on its own. The US-led naval force includes 9 other countries, most of which are NATO members, and will patrol the Red Sea to deter and respond to future attacks by the Houthis, which have caused major shipping lines to deviate from their route and bypass Africa. We will not stand by if the Americans are tempted to escalate further and commit a foolish act by harming our country or waging war against it. Abd al-Malik al-Houthi, this is the Houthi leader, any American attack on our country will lead to our response, and we will make American warships' interest in shipping traffic a target for our missiles, drones, and military operations, he said in a televised speech. That's everything that happened in the Middle East this week. To understand Israel, you have to understand the Middle East. And to understand the Middle East, you have to follow the news, the actions, and the different things happening around this region on a weekly basis. I will continue to update about God's power in the Middle East and how He is connecting all the dots around Israel. Pray with us for the peace of Israel and the peace of Jerusalem.